the unmotivated seller and how to deal with this type of seller. Guys, this is Rick in with Flip with Rick. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video if you want to continue to receive the absolute best free wholesaling information available on the internet. Let's talk about it. We spend so much time talking about motivated sellers. We forget to talk about the unmotivated seller. Let's walk through the process and how to deal with an unmotivated seller in your wholesaling business. What is an unmotivated seller? By now, everybody knows what a motivated seller is. It's what we want. It's the dream client of our business, and it's what we all strive for on getting our lists, and it's the goal of every lead we get in our business. The reality is you will most likely deal with more unmotivated sellers than motivated sellers. So let's talk about it. I find gurus don't even talk about this. They tell you to disregard these people as fast as humanly possible. And to an extent, I agree with it. But the word disregard is the one I don't agree with it. Let's start out by understanding an unmotivated seller doesn't mean they won't become a motivated seller. It just means the timing is off. So I want you to understand this. All sellers, motivated, non-motivated, unmotivated, it's all a timing issue. Eventually, you'll agree, at some point, everybody will sell a property. That's a brilliant revelation. So what it is, it becomes a timing issue. An unmotivated seller, in my honest opinion of 19 years of data, is a person who is just not prepared to sell the property at this point. So it's easy to say, just write them off, delete them from your database. You guys, you're going to kill your business if you do that. Because remember, these are probably 95% of the people you're dealing with. It's a timing issue. People take time to come to understanding. So if you're focusing on the right lists, and this video is not about lists, but if you have a list of absentee owners, high equity owners, vacant properties, tax delinquencies, code violations, you name it, if they call you, I don't think I want to write off that customer right away. Once somebody reaches out and calls me, to me, it is a sign that they're searching to see if you can help them solve a problem. And that's our goal. Remember, when they first contact you, or even you contact them, sometimes sellers don't know what they want or know what they need. And you have to recognize that. I'm not telling you to spend an hour where someone's not ready to sell their house. But if you understand it's a timing issue and you've already paid for the lead, they've already reached out to you, understanding most sellers aren't going to call you and go, okay, my house is a piece of junk. I'm way behind on bills. And can you buy this thing without embarrassing the crap out of me? I can't call a stranger and just spell that out in 2 minutes. Ideally, you and me would both wish everybody would do that, but that's not the reality. So acknowledging it's a timing issue. Now, I'm not talking about the person tells you to, I'm going to sue you, or I'm never, ever going to sell my house. You have to determine at one point, leaving your unmotivated sellers in your database and understanding they have the possibility of converting to a motivated seller. Now, if you're targeting the right list, you need to be careful and not just write off these people. Talking about timing, an unmotivated seller needs anywhere, in my opinion, from 60 days to as much as 365 days to become a motivated seller. So the key is not to write off an unmotivated seller. Now, a lot of times the property's motivated, it's run down, it's either in foreclosure, they have code violation liens, and the seller's not motivated. I want to keep that person in my database because it's a timing. You guys know that follow-up is the key in getting deals. Yes, I want somebody who's ready to sell their house right now. It is my dream and I love it. The reality of the world is I've taken as long as 5 years in follow-up to get a deal. So let me tell you a little personal story, which maybe this will drive it home a little bit. I sent a mailer to a probate on my probate list. I consistently do it every month, guys. And I followed up, and I believe there was 9 heirs. And about 6 of the heirs were all on board. And 3 just couldn't get along. And I just said, listen, I didn't burn my bridge. 3 of them just weren't motivated. And one of them was living in the house for free, and I kind of get it. What I did is once every 2 months, past the initial 180 days, is I would send an email and I would send a text. And once every 90 days, I make a phone call. Okay, guys, 5 years. And I'd like to tell you I followed it like a ridiculous schedule. I was getting ready to write it off and get it out of my database. And lo and behold, 5 years later, I get a call out of the blue. It goes, we've come to an agreement if you're still interested. And I was actually kind of blown away. So my staff member over there, we looked and verified the house. They wanted to talk to me because I was doing sales at that time. I dealt with that lead. So I was happy to meet with them. They actually came to my office and we put a deal together. And after we inked the deal, it was a lot of work. I said, hey, Brad, what was the motivating factor for you to sell me the house? He goes, I'm going to be honest. He goes, we had a ridiculous amount of people contacted. He goes, you answered all our questions. You put us in contact with people to help us out. And you told me in the end, you would help me out no matter what. And it resonated in our family. We just felt you were interested in solving the problem. Everybody else just wanted to make a quick buck off of us. And here's the really cool thing is this wasn't too long ago. I got the same price I got 5 years ago in a rapidly escalating market, and it was a really, really cool deal. So when they initially called me, there was some motivation there, but like there's 3 people they told me there's no way in hell I'm ever selling you this house. Now, I knew it was in probate. I knew the taxes were behind. I knew eventually it would have to sell. The problem was it going to take 3 months or was it going to take 3 years? It actually wound up being 5 years. Now, that's an extreme case, guys. Most follow-up of unmotivated sellers on the right list are anywhere from 60 days to 365 days. If you know that going into it, then I want you to understand when you classify your leads, motivated sellers, and make it simple. The hot ones are the ones that are ready to go now that you want to take down usually in the next 7 to 10 days. I call them very hot. Then you have hot ones that you should be able to get a deal within 2 to 4 weeks. And then you have all that minutia below it. And so many of you guys just write off unmotivated sellers. If you're connecting with the right list, people usually reach out to you and they're testing you for a reason. And if you understand that, the goal is if you can dig out another 6, 8, 10, heck, or even 1 or 2 deals out of your follow-up in your database from your unmotivated sellers, it will make a tremendous difference on your bottom line. And I want you guys to understand that the unmotivated seller is just someone that is not at the right time to sell. Let's talk about how to manage the unmotivated seller and how you can sift them through your database and your wholesaling business. So unmotivated sellers and motivated sellers, the only difference is how you qualify that customer. Because at the end of the conversation, you are tagging them if they're motivated or not motivated. To be very clear on how to vet that process. So by now, you should have some sort of qualification process. If you don't, I want you to go through Flip with Rick. We have tons of videos on how to qualify people. If you're not sure about this, look under the qualification process. We have sales scripts. We have everything else. So let's talk about your qualification process. I'm going to share with you a couple key questions that will help you gauge people's motivations. Remember, if they're not motivated today, it just means they're not ready or they need more information. It's okay. Especially if they're on your specialty list. They're not getting off that list anytime soon. The idea is to make sure you connect with them when they switch from unmotivated to motivated. How do you do that? You do that follow-up process. The only way you can follow up is if you qualify. So I'm going to share with you a couple of key qualifying questions to help you gauge a motivated versus an unmotivated seller. My first question, which will be at the top list, Mr. Seller, if we come to an agreement to buy your house, where are you going to be relocating to? Shut up and listen to their question. If they don't have a specific place, time frame, or where they're going, they are most likely 90 days away or more from selling. Let me repeat that. If your seller does not have a place that they're going to be moving to already mapped out in their mind, it is a process. And most people need a minimum of 90 days. So here's an example. So Ms. Smith, if I'm able to buy your house, what are your plans? Where are you going to be moving to? Where are you going to be living? And you're going to get 2 answers. Number 1, I'm moving in with my sister in North Carolina. I can be there by the end of the month is my goal. And she has a room set up for me and we're sharing the rent. It's perfect. I cannot wait to go. Okay. That person is going to be a motivated seller and they have a plan, at least in the basic qualifications. The other way they answer the question is, well, Rick, I don't know. I haven't even looked into where I'm going to live or what I'm going to do. Guys, it takes time to move, find a place, get deposits, get rents, qualify for a mortgage. I know right there that it doesn't mean that they're not motivated, they're just not ready. And I'm going to set them in my follow-up process and figure out, do I need to reach out to them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, like whatever it is. And understanding it could take up to a year for that person. The key is when they get in that, they go, okay, I found a place to go. I'm moving to California and I'm going to be there in 3 months. Okay, now we're making progress. Perfect. Awesome. And that way you can move them down your funnel. I don't want to be calling a person that has not found a place to move every day in my follow-up. You're going to burn them out. So asking them where they're going to be locating is a key qualification question to gauge motivation on a seller. Some other simple questions is, is this your primary property? Obviously, if it's a rental property, it's much easier for them to part ways on it because they don't have to relocate. If it's their primary property, ask them how long they lived there. I got to be honest with you, once they say they've lived there 20 years plus, it is always a time commitment because it's a lot to unwind because they have a lot of memories there, they have a lot of stuff there, and your job is to help them solve the problem. Once you can help them solve where they're going to be moving their stuff to, how they're, you probably get away with a big moving truck, even give them referrals, you're helping them along the process, building rapport, and you're also getting a gauge of how serious they are in moving and getting all this stuff out of there. Other questions is finding out if they're upgrading. Are they downgrading? Have they got a job loss? Or did they get, or are they looking for a bigger house? These are key factors in finding out when people are truly motivated and aren't motivated. And then sometimes I get into it where, they're not very motivated and they're definitely not realistic on the price. I just throw the white elephant out the room. I go, why don't you just list the property with a realtor and sit back and just listen to their answer? Now, one or two things is, I have someone who goes, I despise realtors. They just list the house and they come back and tell me the truth, what it's going to sell for. Or I've had nightmare inspections, or it always drags on forever. That question alone, although you seem like it would work against you, is actually a great question. Because a lot of times the true motivation will come out like, well, I've got to be out of here in 30 days. And I don't think a realtor can sell it in 30 days. Or I don't want to pay any commissions. I just want to get to a bottom line number. Or my house needs repairs and I'm embarrassed the way it is. And I'm hoping you can help me out. The key here is determining unmotivated sellers and motivated sellers is a timing issue. So we acknowledge that. If you have the right qualification questions, and please dig through the Flip with Rick videos. Zach does a great segment on this. I've done it in the past. It's about your qualifying questions because you're already paying for these leads. So understanding some people will take up to a year to make a decision or even 5 years. That's just money in your pipeline and you have to find a way to harvest it in your company. So don't freak out when you get unmotivated sellers and acknowledge you're going to get more unmotivated sellers than motivated sellers and figure out how to deal with it in your sales process. And your employees, everybody in your company will be better off for it because you'll actually do more deals. I would love for everyone just to call me, sell their house, and have it done quickly. The reality of this business, 19 years plus, it takes some people time. So when you hear unmotivated, do not kick them to the curb right away. There's a way you could still help them out. Yes, it's going to take time. We are in a society where everybody wants such a fast reward. And I'm telling you, in wholesaling, if you're patient, you can make a tremendous amount of money by just guiding people the right way. So many people try to make that quick buck. And that's the difference between a guy like me and you on the other side of that camera is if you do the right thing and you truly want to help people out, you'll be patient because patience shows, patience pays, and patience will reward you in your wholesaling business. So let me quickly recap on this. Do not throw away your unmotivated seller leads. It's just a timing issue. What do we mean by timing? Most unmotivated sellers called you for a reason. They are on a list. We already know they have a problem, otherwise you wouldn't be marketing to them. The question is, when do they want to be honest with you on what the true problem is and when is the timing going to be aligned? So the only way you can do that is to go through some good qualifying questions. I've already shared some simple questions with you. When you're moving, where you're moving to, look for specific answers. Find out if it's their primary property. Why haven't you listed it with a realtor? It sounds like it'd be a simple solution, and see if you can pull out the truth. From there, you need to tag those semi-motivated to unmotivated leads in your follow-up system. And you need to be very clear. If you need a contact person weekly, monthly, every 90 days, whatever it is, I recommend never anything less than 90 days because you never know when they're going to shift. And the idea is when that unmotivated becomes motivated, if you've built enough rapport, you're in their face, and it's a timing issue. Your job in your wholesaling business is to make sure your timing intersects when they're ready. The reality is you will not know when that exact date happens. So if you have a business and you're scheduling it, you have much better odds of crossing their paths when they make that decision to sell, because you'll have crossed every other bridge before it. Remember, never write off a seller completely that's contacted you or has expressed the slightest bit of interest. If they're on the right list, there is a reason they reached out to you. So every now and then, some people will just call to mess with you, but most people are calling to check you out and see if it's even legit. Your job's to prove you're legit. Your job's to prove you are patient. You will help them out. It's important that you and your business stays in position through a follow-up system. So when the timing shifts from unmotivated to very motivated, that you're the first person that is there to help them solve their problem and buy their house. So you guys tell me, what do you do with unmotivated sellers? What is your system for following up with them? Do you just grab the people that are ready to sell now? Because understanding over 90% of your leads are not ready to sell today. And if you can recognize this, acknowledge it, and deal with it in your qualification process, and especially your follow-up process, you will have tremendous success in dealing with unmotivated sellers in your wholesaling business that most other wholesalers completely ignore because they can't make a buck today. So guys, do me a favor, share this video with someone that you think would benefit from dealing with the unmotivated seller. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button to continue to receive the absolute best free wholesaling information on the internet today. This is Rick and Zach, and I'll see you in the next video.